The sky burned orange as enemy ships filled the air above New Eden Colony. Commander Daniel Mason stood at the defense line, his face dirty and tired. For 3 days they had fought the alien forces called the Zelthani. His small group of soldiers was all that stood between the aliens and the thousands of people trying to escape on evacuation ships. "Hold the line," Daniel shouted, firing his weapon at the approaching alien soldiers. Their armor gleamed like black oil in the setting sun. "We just need another hour." Behind him, the last 3 evacuation ships were loading civilians. Children cried as parents rushed them aboard. The colony that had been home to over 10,000 people was now a battlefield of broken buildings and fires. Daniel's second in command, Lily Parker, slid into position beside him. Her face was streaked with dirt and blood from a cut above her eye. "Commander, we've lost the north sector. They're coming in from all sides now," she reported, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. Daniel nodded. "We knew this was coming. Tell everyone to fall back to position Delta. We make our final stand there." As Lily ran to spread the order, Daniel looked up at the enemy ships. Something strange was happening. The Zelthani ships were pulling back, their lights blinking in patterns he had never seen before. "What are they doing?" he whispered to himself. Then suddenly all the alien ground forces began to retreat. It made no sense. "They had been winning, sir," called one of his soldiers. "They're leaving." Daniel didn't trust this sudden change. "Stay alert. This could be a trap." As the alien forces disappeared into the forest surrounding the colony, an eerie quiet fell over the battlefield. The evacuation ships took advantage of the moment, their engines roaring to life as they lifted off from the planet's surface. Daniel watched them go, feeling relief that at least the civilians would be safe. His radio crackled with the voice of Captain Morgan from the last ship. "Commander, we can wait 5 more minutes for you and your team," Morgan said. "Negative, Captain. Get those people to safety. We'll find another way out," Daniel replied, knowing there might not be another way. But his duty was to make sure those ships escaped. As the last ship disappeared into the clouds, Daniel gathered his remaining soldiers. Only 23 of the original 100 were still alive. "I don't know why they retreated, but we need to use this time wisely," he told them. "Gather supplies and find us transport. We need to get off this planet before they return." The soldiers scattered to follow his orders. Daniel walked through the ruined colony, searching for anything that might help them escape. As he passed the science building, he noticed a strange light coming from behind it. Drawing his weapon, Daniel moved carefully toward the light. What he found made him freeze in place. A small alien ship had crashed. It wasn't like the big Zelthani warships. This one was sleek and silver, with strange markings that seemed to glow. It had crashed into the ground, leaving a long scar in the earth. Even more surprising was the open door on its side, with a trail of violet liquid leading away from it. Blood, Daniel realized. Alien blood. Following the trail carefully, Daniel found her hiding behind a fallen wall. She wasn't like the Zelthani soldiers they had been fighting. Those were massive creatures with tough skin and 4 arms. This alien was smaller, more delicate. Her skin was covered in iridescent scales that shimmered even in the dim light. A crown-like crest of these scales framed a face that seemed almost human in its expressions. Except for her large amber eyes with vertical pupils like a cat's. She was injured, violet blood seeping from a wound in her side. When she saw Daniel, she tried to move away but was too weak. Daniel lowered his weapon slowly. Something about her didn't feel threatening. She was clearly running from something, perhaps the same Zelthani forces that had attacked the colony. To his shock, the alien spoke. "You should kill me now." "Human," she said in perfect English, her voice musical and strange. "Before they find me here." Daniel stared in amazement. "You speak our language?" "I speak many languages," she replied, wincing in pain. "I am Vareen, Queen of the Karathi dynasty, and my presence here puts you in great danger." Daniel looked around at the destroyed colony. "I think we passed great danger a few days ago." Despite her pain, something like a smile crossed the alien's face. "You don't understand. The forces attacking you, they weren't after your colony. They were looking for me." Daniel's mind raced. If what she said was true, thousands of human lives had been lost because this alien queen was hiding on their planet. "Why should I help you?" he asked, his voice hard. Bareen's eyes met his. "Because the war you think you're fighting isn't what it seems, and I'm the only one who can help you end it." Before Daniel could respond, his radio crackled. "Commander," it was Lily's voice, urgent and frightened. The Zelthani ships are coming back. Hundreds of them! Daniel looked at the injured alien queen. Every instinct told him to leave her for the enemies that were hunting her. But something in her eyes, intelligence, fear, and determination, made him hesitate, making a decision that would change the course of human history. Daniel holstered his weapon and knelt beside her. "If I help you," he said quietly, "you have to tell me everything." Vereen nodded weakly. "Everything." "I swear it." Daniel lifted the alien queen carefully. She was lighter than she looked, her body seeming almost hollow like a bird's. "Lily," he said into his radio, "tell everyone to meet at the underground bunker, and don't tell anyone about our guest." As he carried Vereen through the ruins of the colony, the sky darkened with returning enemy ships. Daniel didn't know if he was making the biggest mistake of his life or taking the first step toward saving humanity. All he knew was that the war had just become much more complicated. The underground bunker was dark and cold. It had been built as a last resort, a place for colonists to hide if the worst happened. Now it held the last human defenders of New Eden and one alien queen. Daniel had created a small medical area in his private section of the bunker. For 2 weeks, he had kept Vereen hidden from most of his soldiers. Only Lily knew the truth, and she wasn't happy about it. "This is crazy," Lily whispered as she helped Daniel change the bandages on Vereen's wound. "She's the reason they attacked us in the first place." "We don't know that for sure," Daniel replied, though doubt nagged at him too. Vereen's eyes opened. Her vertical pupils widened in the dim light. "Your friend is right to be suspicious," she said weakly. "But she is wrong about why they attacked." Daniel sat on a stool next to her makeshift bed. "Then tell us the truth, all of it." Vereen pushed herself up, wincing with pain. The wound in her side was healing, but slowly. "The universe is not what humans think it is," she began. "The war you believe you're fighting against a unified alien empire is actually a complex game played by multiple species." She explained how the Karathi dynasty, her people, had ruled peacefully over hundreds of worlds for thousands of years, but her cousin Krell had formed an alliance with other ambitious powers, including the Zelthani. "Krell wants my throne," Vereen said, "but he also fears humans." "Us?" Lily scoffed. "We barely have interstellar travel. How could advanced species fear us?" Vereen's scaled lips curved into something like a smile. "Because you adapt. You change. You learn faster than any species we've encountered. My scientists studied Earth for decades. We watched you go from primitive flight to space exploration in less than a century. That terrifies many older species. So this war," Daniel began, "is a way to eliminate 2 threats at once." Vereen finished. "Krell convinced the Zelthani to attack human colonies, knowing you would fight back. Once both sides weakened each other, his forces would sweep in and take control of everything." Daniel leaned back, trying to process this information. "And you? Why did you come here?" Vereen looked down at her hands. They had 4 fingers with delicate webbing between them. "I discovered the plot. I tried to stop it, but Krell had too much support. I was branded a traitor and forced to flee. I came to human space hoping to form an alliance, but my ship was damaged during the escape." "So they're hunting you because you tried to help us?" Daniel asked. "They're hunting me because I am the rightful queen," Vereen said, "and because my ship holds secrets that could shift the balance of power. If Krell captures me, he will use my public execution to cement his rule." Lily shook her head. "This is bigger than us, Commander. We should contact Earth Command." "And tell them what?" Daniel asked. "That we're hiding an alien queen who claims there's a cosmic conspiracy?" "They'd think we've lost our minds," he turned back to Vereen. "You said your ship has valuable technology. Could it help us?" "The ship you found was just a scout vessel," Vereen replied. "My true ship, the Stardancer, is hidden in a nebula at the edge of your solar system. With it, we could end this war, but reaching it would mean traveling through enemy territory." That night, after Lily had left, Daniel sat alone with Vereen. The alien queen seemed lost in thought, her scaled fingers tracing patterns on her bedsheet. "You're taking a great risk helping me," she said finally. Daniel shrugged. "My job is to protect people, even aliens. People are people no matter what they look like." Vereen was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that caught Daniel by surprise. "I'm ugly, human." Daniel blinked, not sure he had heard correctly. "What?" "By my people's standards, I am ugly," she explained. The Karathi value perfect geometric symmetry above all else. My face. She touched the left side of her crest, which Daniel now noticed was slightly smaller than the right. This imperfection is why many believed I should never rule, despite being born to it. Daniel studied her alien features. To human eyes, she was simply different. Not ugly, just foreign. Her scales caught the light like tiny jewels. Her eyes held an intelligence that transcended species. Beauty is different across cultures, even on Earth, he said with a gentle smile, but courage and kindness seemed to be universal. Something in Vareen's expression changed, as if his words had touched her deeply. Their moment was interrupted by an alarm blaring through the bunker. Daniel jumped to his feet. "Stay here," he told Vareen before rushing out. In the main area of the bunker, soldiers were running to battle stations. Lily met Daniel with a grim expression. "They found us," she said. "Zelthani forces are landing outside. But it's strange. They're not attacking in force. It's like they're searching for something. Or someone," Daniel thought. "Get everyone ready," he ordered. "We'll use the tunnel system to flank them." For 3 days, they played a deadly game of hide-and-seek with the Zelthani forces. The aliens seemed more interested in searching the ruins than killing humans, which supported Vareen's story. They were looking for her. On the 4th day, a new problem arrived. A human ship landed near the ruins of the colony center. Daniel watched through binoculars as a woman in an admiral's uniform stepped out, flanked by soldiers. "That's Admiral Olivia Wright," Lily said, peering through her own binoculars. "She's the head of the Frontier Defense Force. What's she doing here?" Daniel wondered aloud. New Eden was supposed to be evacuated. "Maybe they came back for us," Lily suggested, but she didn't sound convinced. They watched as the Admiral organized search parties. Like the Zelthani, they seemed to be looking for something. "I don't like this," Daniel muttered. "Keep our people away from them for now." When he returned to Vareen with the news, the alien queen grew agitated. "Some humans may already be working with Krell," she warned. "He would have promised them advanced technology in exchange for helping capture me." "You think Admiral Wright is a traitor?" Daniel asked, finding it hard to believe. "I think she may be a pawn," Vareen replied, used without fully understanding the game. That night, Daniel made a difficult decision. "We need to leave New Eden," he told Lily. "If both the Zelthani and our own military are compromised, we're not safe here." "And go where?" Lily demanded. Daniel hesitated, then decided to trust his second-in-command completely. "To find an alien ship that might help us end this war." Lily stared at him for a long moment. "You really believe her, don't you?" "I do," Daniel admitted. "And I think helping her might be humanity's best chance." Lily sighed. "Then I'm with you. But I hope you know what you're doing." As they prepared to escape the planet with their alien guest, neither Daniel nor Lily noticed the small drone hovering outside the bunker's air vent, recording everything they said. A drone controlled by a young lieutenant named Grace Harper, who had been sent by Admiral Wright to find out exactly what Commander Daniel Mason was hiding. Lieutenant Grace Harper sat alone in her small quarters aboard Admiral Wright's ship. On her screen, she watched the recorded conversation between Commander Mason and the alien creature again. The revelation stunned her. An alien queen, a conspiracy, and a hidden ship that could change the course of the war. Grace should report this immediately to Admiral Wright. Those were her orders, find out what Mason was hiding. But something held her back. The Admiral's strange behavior since arriving on New Eden had raised red flags. The way she'd ordered her soldiers to search for technology rather than survivors. The private communications she'd had with unknown parties. It all felt wrong. After a long night of thinking, Grace made her decision. She erased the drone's recordings and prepared to do something she never thought she would, betray her commanding officer. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, Daniel and his small group of trusted soldiers prepared for their escape. They had found an old supply shuttle, barely functional but enough to get them off planet. "It won't be comfortable," Daniel told Vareen as he helped her aboard, "and will be visible to enemy scanners once we break atmosphere." The alien queen nodded. "The Star Dancer will sense my presence once we're in space. It may be able to help shield us, may?" Lily asked skeptically. "It's a living ship," Vareen explained. "Part machine, part organism. It has its own form of consciousness." Before they could discuss further, an explosion rocked the ground nearby. Through the trees, they could see Zelthani troops approaching. "They found us," one of Daniel's soldiers shouted. Everyone on board, Daniel ordered. We're leaving now. As they scrambled into the shuttle, a figure burst from the undergrowth. Daniel raised his weapon, then hesitated when he saw it was a human woman in a lieutenant's uniform. Wait, she called. Commander Mason, I need to speak with you. We don't have time, Daniel said, keeping his gun trained on her. It's about the alien queen, the woman said. And Admiral Wright. I know what you're hiding and I want to help. Daniel exchanged looks with Lily. Another explosion, closer this time, made the decision for them. Get in, Daniel told the lieutenant. But if this is a trick, you won't live to regret it. The woman climbed aboard, and the shuttle's doors closed just as the first Zelthani soldiers broke through the tree line. The old shuttle shuddered as it lifted off, engines straining against gravity. Daniel piloted while Lily kept her weapon pointed at their unexpected guest. Talk fast, Daniel told her as they ascended through the clouds. I'm Lieutenant Grace Harper, she said. I was sent to spy on you. But what I discovered, Admiral Wright isn't here to rescue anyone. She's working with someone off-planet. They want the alien queen. Why should we believe you? Lily demanded. Grace pulled out a small device. Because I erased the evidence instead of giving it to her. And because I've been part of a resistance movement within the military for months, some of us don't believe the official story about this war. As they broke through the atmosphere, alarms blared in the shuttle. We've got company, Daniel announced grimly. 2 Zelthani fighters on our tail and... He checked another screen. A human military vessel moving to intercept. Admiral Wright, Grace confirmed. Vereen moved to Daniel's side, her scaled hand resting lightly on his shoulder. Head for these coordinates, she said, inputting numbers into the navigation system. Push this vessel as fast as it will go. That's toward the nebula, Daniel noted. The shuttle won't survive inside it. We won't need to enter, Vereen assured him. Just get close enough. Daniel nodded and pushed the engines beyond safety limits. The shuttle surged forward, but the pursuing ships were faster and better armed. The first shots from the Zelthani fighters rocked the shuttle. Warning lights flashed across the control panel. Shields failing, Daniel reported. We can't take much more of this. Vereen closed her eyes, her crest flaring outward as if reaching for something. The Star Dancer hears me, she whispered. It's coming. Another blast hit them, more devastating than the first. The shuttle spun out of control, systems failing. Daniel fought with the controls as the cabin filled with smoke. Brace for impact, he shouted. The next few moments were chaos. Metal tore, people screamed, and then darkness. Daniel woke to pain. His head throbbed and something warm trickled down his face. Blood. Opening his eyes, he found himself still strapped to the pilot's seat. But the shuttle was in pieces around him. Somehow he had survived the crash. Lily, he called weakly. Vereen? A soft groan answered him. Turning his head, he saw Vereen pinned beneath a fallen beam. Her violet blood pooled beneath her. Ignoring his own injuries, Daniel freed himself and crawled to her side. Hold on, he said, trying to lift the beam. It was too heavy. Behind you, Vereen warned suddenly. Daniel turned to see a Zelthani soldier approaching through the wreckage, weapon raised. Before he could react, a shot rang out. The alien fell, revealing Grace Harper standing with a smoking gun. We need to move, she said urgently. There will be more. Together they managed to free Vereen and find Lily, who was unconscious but alive. The other soldiers in their group had not been so lucky. They took shelter in a cave as a storm raged outside. The planet they had crashed on was uninhabited, a barren world of rock and wind. Grace treated their injuries with supplies salvaged from the shuttle. How did you get involved with the resistance? Daniel asked her as she bandaged his head. My brother was on the first colony hit by the Zelthani, she replied. The official report said everyone died, but he sent me a message afterward. He saw human officers helping the aliens. When I started asking questions, I was approached by others who had similar experiences. Vereen lay on a makeshift bed, her breathing shallow. Your friend is right, she said weakly. Some humans have been compromised. Krell is clever. He offers power and technology, knowing how seductive such things can be. Daniel knelt beside her. You need proper medical attention. Your wound has reopened. There is another way, Vereen said. My people can heal through connection, a sharing of life force, but it would change you, Daniel. You would carry part of me within you after. What does that mean? He asked. It means you would be linked to me. You would understand my language, feel echoes of my emotions, And it would give you certain abilities. It is not done lightly. Daniel looked at her wound, then at the storm outside. Help wasn't coming. Do it, he decided. Whatever it takes to keep you alive. Vereen placed her hand over his heart. Her scales began to glow with an inner light that spread to her eyes. This will hurt, she warned. Pain like nothing Daniel had ever felt surged through him. It felt as if his blood was on fire, his very cells being rewritten. He might have screamed, but he couldn't be sure. The world narrowed to just the pain in Vereen's glowing eyes. Then suddenly it stopped. Daniel collapsed beside her, gasping. When he opened his eyes again, the world looked different. Colors were more vivid, and he could see patterns of heat and energy he'd never noticed before. More strangely, he could feel Vereen in his mind. Not thoughts exactly, but impressions, emotions. What did you do to me? He whispered. I gave you part of myself, she replied, her voice sounding both outside and inside his head. And you gave me strength to heal. Looking at her wound, Daniel saw it was already closing, the edges knitting together before his eyes. Commander? Lily called, having woken during the process. What's happening? Before Daniel could answer, Grace rushed in from where she'd been keeping watch. Something's coming, she said urgently. Something big. They all moved to the cave entrance. Through the storm, they saw it, a massive shape descending from the clouds. Not a Zilthani ship nor a human one. This vessel seemed to shift and flow like a living thing, its surface rippling with lights that resembled the scales on Vereen's skin. The Star Dancer, Vereen breathed, a smile spreading across her face. It found us. Daniel felt an answering surge of emotion that wasn't his own, Vereen's joy and relief flowing through their new connection. As the massive ship settled on the planet's surface, a doorway appeared in its side. Lights spilled out warm and inviting. Come, Vereen said, standing straighter than she had in weeks, strength returning to her voice. The next part of our journey begins. They walked toward the ship, leaving the wreckage behind. With each step, Daniel felt the bond between himself and the alien queen strengthening. He didn't understand what was happening to him, but he knew one thing for certain. The war had just changed forever. The Star Dancer was unlike anything Daniel had ever seen. From the outside, it had appeared massive but relatively simple. Inside, it was a world unto itself. Corridors shifted and changed as they walked, the walls seeming to breathe with a life of their own. Lights pulsed along surfaces that were neither metal nor stone but something in between. It's alive, Daniel said in wonder, feeling the ship's presence in his mind through his new connection with Vereen. Yes and no, Vereen replied. The Karathi discovered long ago that true space travel required more than simple machines. The Star Dancer is a synthesis of technology and biological systems. It thinks, it adapts, and in some ways it feels. Lily and Grace followed behind them, both wide-eyed and silent. For all their military training, nothing had prepared them for this. The corridor opened into a vast chamber that could only be the ship's bridge. But unlike human vessels with their rigid control stations and view screens, this room was dominated by a pool of what looked like liquid light at its center. Around it, growths that resembled coral or crystal formations pulsed with colored lights. Vereen approached the pool and placed her hand into the light. Immediately, the ship responded. The lights brightened and a humming vibration ran through the floor. It recognizes you, Daniel said, feeling the ship's response through their connection. I am its rightful pilot, Vereen confirmed. The Star Dancer is bound to the royal bloodline of the Karathi. It will obey no other. Grace stepped forward cautiously. This technology, it's incredible. With this ship, we could turn the tide of the war. It's not that simple, Vereen said, turning to face them. The Star Dancer is powerful, yes, but Krell commands an armada. And more importantly, he has positioned himself as the rightful ruler in the eyes of many Karathi. Simply attacking would only reinforce his propaganda, that I am a violent usurper. Then what's your plan? Lily asked, still keeping a cautious distance from the alien technology. Vereen gestured and the liquid light in the pool shifted, forming a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Specific points glowed brighter than others. These are the key worlds in the Karathi dynasty, she explained. And these, several human colonies lit up, are the human settlements most at risk. Krell's strategy is to force the humans to commit more forces to defending these colonies, weakening Earth's defenses, while he builds support among your people by claiming you've gone rogue, Daniel added, the pieces falling into place in his mind. Exactly, Vareen nodded. I need to reveal the truth to both our peoples. There is a sacred place in Karathi culture, the Temple of Ancestors on our homeworld. If I can broadcast the evidence of Krell's conspiracy from there, many would turn against him. That's suicide, Grace objected. You said yourself he controls the Armada. How would you even get to your homeworld? Vareen's vertical pupils contracted slightly as she smiled. The Stardancer has certain abilities that other ships lack. Before she could explain further, alarms sounded throughout the ship. The map in the light pool vanished, replaced by images of space around them. Multiple vessels were approaching, both Zelthani and human military. They found us, Lily said grimly. Admiral Wright, Grace confirmed, recognizing one of the human ships. And she's brought reinforcements. Daniel turned to Vareen. Whatever abilities this ship has, now would be a good time to use them. Vareen plunged both hands into the light pool. Her scales began to glow as energy flowed between her and the ship. Through their connection, Daniel felt her concentration, her merging with the vessel's systems. The Stardancer can create a fold in space, she explained, her voice strained with effort. Not true faster-than-light travel as you understand it, but a temporary corridor between points. However, it requires enormous energy and perfect calculation. The ship hummed louder, vibrations increasing until Daniel's teeth chattered. The walls around them seemed to pulse faster, changing colors from soft blues to urgent reds and purples. They're locking weapons, Grace called, watching the approaching ships on the display. Almost there, Vareen whispered, her entire body now glowing with the same light as the pool. The first shots from the enemy vessels struck the Stardancer. Though they felt no impact, the lights dimmed momentarily and Vareen gasped in pain. They're disrupting the fold creation, she said through gritted teeth. I need more time. Without thinking, Daniel stepped forward and placed his hands beside Vareen's in the light pool. Immediately, energy surged through him, burning along his nerves. But instead of pain, he felt power and connection. Through the bond they shared, he could sense how to help stabilize the fold. What are you doing? Lily called in alarm. I don't know, Daniel answered honestly, but it's working. Indeed, the ship's light strengthened and the vibration steadied. In the display, they could see a distortion forming in space ahead of them, a swirling vortex of light and energy. The fold is opening, Vareen said, surprise in her voice. How are you doing this? The healing connection, Daniel realized. It gave me more than just a mental link to you. I can feel the ship too. More shots hit the Stardancer, but they held their position. The fold grew larger, stabilizing into a tunnel of warped space. Now, Vareen commanded, and the ship surged forward into the vortex. The sensation was indescribable. Daniel felt stretched and compressed simultaneously. Colors he had no names for flashed before his eyes. Through it all, he maintained his connection to Vareen and the ship, anchoring himself to their shared purpose. Then, as suddenly as it began, it ended. The Stardancer emerged into normal space, the fold collapsing behind them. Did we lose them? Lily asked, steadying herself against a wall. Vareen withdrew her hands from the pool, looking exhausted but satisfied. For now, the fold leaves no trail to follow. But we didn't go far, just to the edge of the Karathi territory. We needed to conserve energy. Where exactly are we? Grace inquired, studying the unfamiliar star patterns in the display. The Obsidian Reach, Vareen replied. A region of space rich in rare minerals. Sparsely populated, but she paused, frowning at something in the display. That's strange. There should be mining outposts here. Daniel peered at the display. Indeed, where Vareen indicated there were structures floating in space, but they appeared dark and damaged. Could Krell have attacked them? He asked, possibly, but why? These outposts held no strategic value. Vareen manipulated the light pool, focusing the ship's sensors on the abandoned facilities. What they discovered chilled them all. The outposts hadn't been attacked, they'd been converted. Strange, organic-looking technology had been grafted onto the original structures, creating something new and disturbing. I've never seen anything like this, Vareen whispered. This isn't Karathi or Zelthani technology. Then whose is it? Lily asked. Before Vareen could answer, a new alarm sounded. Something was approaching, a swarm of small objects moving at incredible speed. Defensive posture, Vareen commanded, and the ship's lights shifted to a deep purple. These are automated probes of some kind. The swarm surrounded the Stardancer, each probe no bigger than Daniel's hand. They didn't attack but seemed to be scanning the vessel. Through his connection to the ship, Daniel felt its confusion and concern. Whatever these probes were, even the ancient Stardancer didn't recognize them. Suddenly, the probes withdrew, gathering into a tight formation before shooting away toward one of the converted outposts. "They're reporting back," Grace said, her military training kicking in. "We should leave before whatever sent them decides to investigate personally." Vereen nodded, but before she could re-engage the ship's systems, a massive vessel appeared from behind one of the outposts. It dwarfed even the Stardancer, its design a nightmarish blend of technology and organic matter that pulsed and writhed. "What is that?" Daniel breathed, feeling the Stardancer's alarm. "I don't know," Vereen admitted, true fear in her voice for the first time. "This isn't part of any species I recognize." The unknown vessel began to move toward them, slowly but with clear purpose. "Can we create another fold?" Lily asked urgently. Vereen shook her head. "Not so soon after the last one. The ship needs time to recover." "Then we fight," Grace said, her hand moving instinctively to her weapon, though it would be useless against something so massive. "No," Vereen decided after a moment. "We communicate." She manipulated the light pool again, sending a simple greeting pattern, universal symbols recognized by most spacefaring species. For a long moment, there was no response. Then a beam of energy shot from the alien vessel, connecting with the Stardancer, but instead of damage, it created a link. Images and sensations flooded through the ship's systems and into Vereen and Daniel's minds through their connection. Daniel gasped as alien thoughts touched his consciousness. Not words, but concepts, impressions. Ancient, patient, curious, hungry. "It's some kind of collective intelligence," Vereen said, her voice strained. "It's been watching both humans and Karathi for centuries." "Watching and waiting," Daniel added, understanding flowing through their shared connection. "It sees the war as an opportunity." The link severed abruptly, leaving them both reeling. The alien vessel remained where it was, neither advancing nor retreating. "What does it want?" Lily demanded. The journey to the Karathi homeworld took 7 days. 7 days of hiding, of careful navigation through enemy territory, of learning to work with the living ship that carried them. For Daniel, it was also 7 days of growing accustomed to the changes within himself. The healing bond with Vereen had altered him in ways they were still discovering. He could understand the Karathi language without translation. He could feel the emotions of the Stardancer, its ancient intelligence acknowledging him as an extension of its queen. And sometimes when he slept, he dreamed Vereen's memories, glimpses of worlds and civilizations humans had never seen. "Is this permanent?" he asked Vereen as they stood together on the ship's observation deck, watching stars streak by. "The bond?" "Yes," she replied. "Such connections once formed cannot be undone." "Does that trouble you?" Daniel considered the question. A month ago, the idea of sharing his mind with an alien would have terrified him. Now it felt right. "No," he said finally. "It doesn't trouble me." Vereen's scaled lips curved in a smile. In the dim light, her iridescent scales shimmered like opals. Daniel had grown to find her beautiful in her own alien way. Through their connection, he felt her appreciation of his thought. "We'll reach Karathia tomorrow," she said, changing the subject. "Krell will have the temple heavily guarded. Then we'll need a distraction," Grace said, entering the observation deck with Lily. The two women had become an effective team over the past week, despite their different backgrounds. "I've been studying the ship's capabilities," Grace continued. "The Stardancer can create smaller versions of itself, drone ships that can operate independently." Vereen nodded. "The Seedcraft. They're meant for exploration, but they could serve as decoys." "And I've been thinking about this alien intelligence we encountered," Lily added. "If it's been influencing events, maybe we can use that knowledge against Krell." They spent the night planning, preparing for what would likely be their only chance to expose the truth and end the war. As the others finally went to rest, Daniel remained on the observation deck, unable to sleep. He sensed Vereen's approach before he heard her footsteps. "You're troubled," she said, joining him at the viewport. "We're about to change the course of 2 civilizations," Daniel replied. "That's a heavy responsibility." "You think of the future," Vereen observed. "That's one of the things I admire about humans. You're always looking forward, imagining what could be. And the Karathi? We look to the past, to tradition, to the ancestors." She sighed, a surprisingly human sound. "Perhaps that's why Krell's betrayal was so effective. He wrapped his ambition in the cloak of tradition, while I questioned our old ways. Daniel turned to face her. You wanted peace with humans. I wanted more than peace, Vareen admitted. I wanted partnership. Your species has such potential, such creativity. The Karathi have technology and stability. Together we could accomplish wonders. Through their bond, Daniel felt the sincerity of her vision. A future where humans and Karathi worked side by side, exploring the universe, standing united against threats, like the mysterious intelligence they'd encountered. That's still possible, he said softly. If we succeed tomorrow, she added. The Karathi homeworld came into view the next day, a jewel of blue-green, oceans and purple land masses, wrapped in swirling white clouds. But the beauty of the planet was marred by the armada in orbit around it. Hundreds of ships, both Karathi and Zelthany, patrolled the space. There's no way to approach undetected, Grace observed from the bridge. We don't need to, Vareen replied. The Star Dancer has one more ability we haven't used yet. She placed her hands in the light pool and the ship's interior began to change. Walls became transparent, then seemingly disappeared altogether. It was as if they were floating in space with nothing around them. Invisibility, Lily asked in amazement. No, Vareen explained. The ship is creating a bubble of folded space around us. We exist slightly out of phase with normal reality. We can see out, but they cannot see in. Like a one-way mirror, Daniel said, understanding flowing through their connection. The Star Dancer glided past the patrolling ships undetected, entering the planet's atmosphere without challenge. Below them, a vast city spread across a mountain range, buildings of crystal and living stone rising in elegant spires. At its center stood a massive structure shaped like a blooming flower, its petals reaching toward the sky. The Temple of Ancestors, Vareen said, her voice filled with emotion. The heart of Karathi civilization. From there, we can broadcast the truth to every corner of the dynasty. They landed the Star Dancer in a forest clearing outside the city. The seed craft were deployed as decoys, small versions of the main ship that would draw attention away from their true location. Once we enter the city, we'll have little time, Vareen warned as they prepared to leave the ship. Krell will sense my presence. The royal blood carries a psychic signature that can't be hidden. Then we move fast, Daniel said. He had changed into armor Vareen had provided, living metal that adjusted to his human form. Grace and Lily were similarly equipped, though they kept their human weapons as well. Together, the four of them set out toward the city. They had barely reached the outskirts when alarms began to sound. The seed craft had been detected, drawing Krell's forces to the opposite side of the city. But it wouldn't fool them for long. This way, Vareen led them through back streets and hidden passages, her knowledge of the city allowing them to avoid most patrols. They were halfway to the temple when they rounded a corner and came face to face with a squad of Karathi guards. For a moment, both groups froze in surprise. Then one of the guards recognized Vareen. The Queen, he gasped in the Karathi language which Daniel could now understand. Before the guards could decide whether to attack or kneel, Grace and Lily had their weapons ready. But Vareen raised a hand to stop them. I am Vareen, rightful queen of the Karathi dynasty, she announced formally. I come to speak truth in the temple. Will you honor your oaths to the throne or the lies of a usurper? The guard captain hesitated, then slowly lowered his weapon and dropped to one knee. The others followed. My queen, he said, we believed you dead. Krell said you had betrayed us to the humans. Rise, Vareen commanded. There is no time. Will you help us reach the temple? The captain stood. The temple is heavily guarded by those loyal to Krell, but there is an old service tunnel that runs beneath the main avenue. We can guide you there. With the guards now as allies, they made faster progress, but their luck couldn't last. As they emerged from the service tunnel just blocks from the temple, the sky darkened with ships. Krell knows we're here, Vareen said grimly. A massive vessel descended toward the temple plaza, an ornate command ship that dwarfed those around it. Even from a distance, Daniel could see the figure standing on its open deck, a Karathi male with scales of deep crimson and a crest larger and more elaborate than Vareen's. My cousin, Vareen confirmed, sensing his thought. Come to stop us personally. They watched as Krell's ship landed in the temple plaza. Hundreds of guards and officials gathered to greet him, their loyalty secured through fear or ambition. We'll never fight through all of that, Lily observed. We don't have to fight, Daniel said slowly, an idea forming. We just need to get Vareen to the broadcast chamber. He turned to the guard captain. Is there another way into the temple? Something Krell might not know about or expect? The captain thought for a moment. The Ancestors' Path. It's a narrow tunnel used for bringing the dead to the sacred crypts. It leads directly beneath the temple. Would Krell have it guarded? Grace asked. Unlikely, the captain replied. It's considered sacrilege for anyone but the Death Priest to use it. Even Krell would hesitate to break that taboo. Daniel looked at Vareen. It's our best chance, she nodded. Lead the way, Captain. The Ancestors' Path was a narrow tunnel carved into the living rock beneath the city. Soft bioluminescent fungi provided the only light, casting everything in a pale blue glow. The air was thick with the scent of strange incense and the weight of ancient tradition. No one but the Death Priests has walked this path in centuries. The captain whispered as he led them deeper. They emerged into a vast underground chamber filled with crystalline structures that Daniel realized were tombs. Each contained the preserved body of a Karathi royal, their scales still gleaming as if alive. My ancestors, Vareen said softly, placing a hand on one of the crystals, watching us even now. A narrow staircase at the far end of the crypt led upward. The captain pointed to it. That leads to the heart of the temple directly behind the transmission altar. But once you're there, you'll be exposed. We'll handle that, Daniel assured him. He turned to Grace and Lily. You two create a diversion when we give the signal. Something loud. Grace patted the explosives she'd brought from the ship. That we can do. Daniel and Vareen ascended the stairs alone, emerging into a small antechamber behind the main temple hall. Through a thin crystal wall, they could see Krell addressing the gathered Karathi officials, his voice carrying clearly. My cousin's treachery is complete, he was saying. She has allied with the humans against her own people. But fear not. Our forces will crush the human colonies one by one until they surrender. Now, Daniel whispered into his communicator.